This is the giant robot smashing into other. Wait, no, it's AI in focus.
You had me going there.
To AI in focus, but I am joined today by my partner in crime, one of the co-hosts of the Giant Robots Smashing into Other Giant Robots podcast, Sami Birnbaum. Sami, thanks for joining me.
Such a pleasure to be here. It's such a different vibe to starting the podcast because you got this music and it kind of gets you going. Like it puts adrenaline and I'm like ready to like run down the tunnel, like onto the sports field. But here we are doing an AI in focus session. It's great to be here. Thank you for having me. I'm a massive fan. I have been watching a number of these and I'm excited to be on here with you today.
Awesome. Well, today, for those of you just tuning in, we are working on a Rails-powered application generator, sort of like Lovable, where you type in instructions and it generates a complete Rails app for you. It's called ReadySetGo. And unlike Lovable, this is generating a full Rails app with full tests backed by a real Postgres database and running locally on your computer. We build security in by default, as well as Rails best practices, Thoughtbot best practices, and that sort of thing. And we have been working on it for about, I think, 5 weeks now. So we've made significant progress. But Sami, you haven't joined since we've started working on it. So it's your first time.
Yeah, it's brand new to me. Like I've heard snippets of it. We did an episode which I can highly recommend on the Giant Robots podcast where we announced the genesis of ReadySetGo. So it's worth taking a listen to that because you can understand the why behind it a lot more.
Yeah, and that's at podcast.thoughtbot.com if people want to check that out.
Or giantrobots.fm.
Sure, yeah.
Clued in, brilliant. But yeah, I'm looking forward to getting into like the technical side of it. For those who don't know, I'm not just a pretty face. I am a developer as well. And so I enjoy the technical aspects. So yeah, let's get into it.
Okay, let's go over. I'm going to get started with just a quick overview of where we're currently at, especially if you haven't been watching. So I have it running here locally, and I was playing around with just creating a bunch of different things, a bunch of different lists. So a to-do list application, a recipe list application, a soda list tracking application, a pizza list. I think it's just junk food lists, really. So pizza list is an application for tracking pizza places and the best pizzas and rating them. So you can click into the chat where we created this application. This is all a Rails app with Rails models storing the entire conversation that we've had with the LLM. In this case, the LLM we're using behind the scenes is Claude. So you can see that the first thing it does. So right now we're outputting everything that happens into the main chat. Eventually, it'll be down here in this log panel.
I love the iron law.
Yeah,
at the top of that, seeing how you've had to be quite assertive with the LLM.
Yeah, this comes from actually this right here. So it's adapted from that. Actually, I'm looking at the screen there and realize we should make this a little bit bigger. It comes from this skill. It's created by somebody else. It's a combination of that and then our own Claude MD file, Thoughtbot's own. But this idea of we were experimenting with language to use that would really keep the LLM on track in terms of performing TDD. Ultimately, what we have is a system of reviewers. So there's not just the one LLM agent that's working. Every time the main LLM agent is doing things, its work is being reviewed by an implementation of an agent that descends from a reviewer class. So that agent reviews the work of the main agent and rejects it if it doesn't follow what this reviewer is looking for. So you can see we have three reviewers. We have a quality reviewer, which these are the instructions for the quality reviewer, but it's looking for right now certain things that we wanted to watch out for, and it will reject the work of the main agent if it doesn't pass it. Same thing with the styling reviewer. This is a reviewer specifically for reviewing CSS and styling. And then we have the TDD reviewer. So this reviewer is looking at what the work of the main agent is doing and rejecting it if it doesn't pass these rules.
Nice. Okay.
So these reviewers reviewing the code are really were part of our initial idea of how we would create something that would actually stay on track. Because if you use Claude Code for an extended period of time, it often sort of gets off track from your initial instructions. And so to have these micro agents reviewing the work of the main agent and rejecting it is a technique that we found really works to keep it on track.
Yeah, that's really cool. And just out of interest, to those, is it using the same LLM instance?
No, actually, there's the advantage of these small focused reviewers. So the main agent is using Opus 4.6 right now, although 4.7 just came out yesterday. It's using 4.6. These are using Haiku, so a lighter weight, cheaper model to review the work of the main model.
Okay, so you send the whole entire context to the TDD reviewer and say, review this.
It actually it depends a little bit. It's not the whole context. It's only the reason why. So some reviewers review everything all of the time.
Other on every prompt,
other reviewers only review like every 5 times that tool is called.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. But it's reviewing the work to be done. So that might be before a git commit, it would be reviewing it. But it would also be like when it's editing files. So the edit file tool. Oh, actually, so edit file tool is one of the tools that actually doesn't have its work reviewed. The commit changes tool, for example, is a review required tool, which means that every time the agent goes to commit, the work it's doing to commit, going to commit is reviewed. We do have review optional tools. Yeah, I'm not seeing a review optional tool. Oh, review periodic tool. Sorry.
Okay.
So the Rails generator is a review periodic tool, which means that we don't review the work being done every time the generator is called. It's just every 5 times it's called. We review the work.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So what we're going to be doing today is, if you've been following along, and if you haven't, you're about to be told that we initially started this work by not worrying about Rails and models and all that kind of stuff. We just wanted to prove that we could create an agent that would produce great code, start an app with suspenders, do test-driven development, explore these reviewers. So we created all that as just a plain Ruby program running in your terminal. And we've been, once we hit that milestone and proved that out, and we did that with full test driven development, but once we proved that out, we then created a Rails app and started pulling those things into the Rails app piece by piece. So you can see we have our main ReadySetGo repository or directory. Inside of that, there's a Rails app. There's a Rails directory, sorry. But then we have, bin and lib and spec and a gem file and a rake file and the command ReadySetGo all at the top level of our repository here. So the goal for today is to do a sweep through everything that's remaining at the top level outside of the Rails app and identify things that are still valuable that we need to pull into the Rails app, and we'll pull them in. And then, but hopefully by the end of the stream, we'll have done all of that and we can actually move everything that's in the Rails app up to the top level of the repository, and only the Rails app will exist at the end of today's session.
In the Rails app then, does it have its own git ignore gem? It's got all of these things.
It does, right? Yeah.
Right.
So it's already set up to be the top level
right
thing.
So we could just delete, maybe not GitHub if that's got GitHub Actions and stuff, but we could just delete everything here.
That is the goal that we'll be able to do at the end here. And actually we have a little checklist that, where is it? So this was created a while ago. It was created last month. So Lewis had envisioned moving the current root level folders and files into RubyScript, then moving the Rails folder to the root level. We decided not to do that. We've just been pulling in the pieces and actually deleting them because it was hard to see what was done and what wasn't. And so we started deleting stuff from the RubyScript so that we could be really clear in a pull request review what was being moved over, but also then we could actually look at the code and see, oh, this code still exists and needs to be brought over. But yeah, we won't delete the .github. We'll just have to change the workflows to just run the Rails specs. Right now, those specs
still
the
runs
Rails specs
Ruby specs
inside of the Rails. We already deleted the task that runs the top level specs because they're broken because we started deleting code.
Makes sense. Yeah.
So so let's go over to, so we have our top level script, ReadySetGo. And so we have the ability to run the program and have a switch to switch the models. That already exists. I believe.
So that would allow the user to switch the models.
Yeah. And I think that I saw that Steve actually has a pull request here. So the way we would do it is set Anthropic default model, environment variable.
And then, but if it's an environment variable, that won't allow the user.
Right. Ultimately, we envision that this is just for testing purposes, that the models that the app uses will be ones that we've shown are the right ones to use. And that it would only be from a development perspective that we need to switch the models.
I see. Okay,
Like
okay,
if
got it.
so, for example, yesterday Opus 4.7 came out. We might want to test ReadySetGo with Opus 4.7, prove that it's a better model, and then switch our default model to it. So it's just a
Yeah,
like we don't expect users to choose the models.
yeah. I actually used Opus 4.7 for the first time this morning,
Mm-hmm.
and
What do you think?
it annihilated my tokens
Oh
like
yeah,
really really quickly.
I think it said it uses
Yeah.
30% more tokens because it changed the way tokens were counted as well.
Okay, so
Something like that.
I wasn't able to spend enough time with it to see significant changes. Um, yeah, but it did take my tokens.
So then the next thing we have in here is this tokens. Um, we don't need this because RubyLLM stores how many tokens are used in each message. So it doesn't make sense to have a command line option or an environment variable to show that. That'll just be a feature we might want in the Rails app.
Mhm.
We don't need to bring that over.
So
I
do
need,
we store that on the message record at the moment?
yeah. If you look at it actually comes by default. The message model actually stores a few different things: how many input tokens, how many output tokens.
Mhm.
I don't quite know what cache tokens is, and then how
Oh,
many
so
tokens were
this
used by
comes
thinking.
from this is generated by the RubyLLM app, gem.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, cool.
So the RubyLLM gem includes just core Ruby classes to talk to different LLMs. It also includes a full Rails integration, which will generate models, controllers, that kind of thing for you
Oh,
as
amazing.
well.
Okay, cool.
So we started as the basis. We started with that as the basis, and overall, it's been fine. But it is a lot all at once that we didn't know how it worked, and there was also no tests. So there's no tests for the message model, for example. We've written tests
Mhm.
as we've gone along, but it um, it put us sort of on our back foot in terms of like there's a lot all at once from the beginning.
When you say there's no tests for the message model, um,
Yeah.
what would you expect to test? Because
So there's
like,
a lot of functionality
yeah.
in the message model provided by RubyLM. All of that token tracking, all of that stuff. There's no tests that run in our application for that functionality, yet it's all wired up to Rails.
But is it tested in the gem itself? D
It is, but we're changing the functionality or using it.
Okay.
Yeah. So and the reason why it's hard to know is it's all when you look at the message model, it's all just put there by acts as message. And in order to view the code, you need to open up the gem and look at the gem's code because that acts as message method is in the gem, not in our application.
And you would wanna test the behavior that comes with access
It's
message.
not just testing. It's like, I don't know what that is doing. It's doing a
Okay.
lot, but I don't know what it's doing. And the only way to look at it is go to the gem source code.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we need to decide whether the reviewers should have a configurable model. And in this case, I think they should. Right now, we are just putting the model there by that. But for the same reason, like we want to test in development mode, creating Ready, Set, Go, we want to test the ability to try it out with different models. So let's bring that over. Uh, So I'm just creating a branch for our work. Let's take a look at the models, the reviewer spec. I'm just checking to see whether there's anything about any existing spec checking for model. Yeah, so it defaults to Claude Haiku 4.5. Oh, use the configured model when overridden. Oh, okay. So a reviewer can already get an
with a
overridden model. So that leads me to believe that we might be
Yeah, how does that work? Because in the reviewer class, it's kind of set at runtime.
Yeah, it's a feature of RubyLLM agent to be able to override the model.
Okay.
And so I'm just looking for so here's where we set up the review or the pipeline of reviewers. And we're calling new there. So there's no place where we're actually passing in the model. So the nice thing is we've already got the spec that says if we did pass in the model, it would be overridden.
Yeah, it would work.
And we have a spec that says that it defaults to Claude Haiku 4.7. So given
but we're not
that,
using that argument, we're not using that argument anywhere.
So we're not using that anywhere, right? So given that, here is where we would do that if the environment variable is set, and it's actually in the reviewable module. And the reviewable module is included in our tool class. So do you have a opinion
on where to put this?
On where to put this?
Can I have a look at the reviewable module again?
Yeah.
Let's have a look. So this is the reviewable module. And that's included into any tool class that is reviewable.
Yeah.
And how is it used in the tool class? Like, how is it called?
So you see every time a tool is called, it calls call. So we're overriding call. And if a review is due, then we pass, we call the review changes method, which comes from reviewable.
Yeah.
So we get a diff of all changes and we pass that to the reviewer.
But the actual message that is sent is the call, or the call method, or the call message is sent to the tool. So if you imagine the code where it starts at tool.call. And I don't think that's the right place to say what model you want, because it doesn't know anything about behind the scenes. There's this whole reviewer thing going on.
Right. So here is where we would, if we had it, we would do, you know,
Yeah, I think that's a fair place to put it.
Yeah, my concern is that that's gonna, if it's not set, it's gonna pass in nil, and I don't know that we can see whether it then picks up the default if it gets nil in it.
Right. Okay.
So we have a reviewable spec, and this reviewable spec just creates a reviewable class, which includes the module, and then the tests run against that reviewable class.
Yeah. Actually, I really like that way of testing it.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing that a lot.
So we can start to write a new spec here. It
maybe because maybe there's a context here. So like when nil or something. But let's see.
With the model to use. And then what I would, I'm just going to check to see whether we already have climate control, and no, we don't. Okay.
But do you have any existing tests? Like, do the existing tests in this file, do they test whether the reviewers instantiate with the correct model?
No.
Okay.
We could.
Yeah, like what happens if you put in nil there and run the existing suite?
Oh, did I change this?
Yeah, you might. Or you can leave that. You can leave that in there. Yeah.
So it works, but there's a lot of stubbing. If you can see, there's a lot of stubbing.
Yeah.
And everything here. So I don't have 100% confidence that.
Yeah, fair enough.
That it still works. And we don't want to reach in. We can't reach into these instantiated things in the reviewer pipeline because right now it's a private constant.
Ah, okay. So how do you plan on testing this?
Well, I was going to just start typing. I
Go for it.
So what I would do is I want this all to be switched off of an environment variable. So the gem I would reach to be able to set environment variables in tests is one created by Thoughtbot. It's called climate control.
Can you install it in test?
Sorry, yes, thank you. Okay, so we've got the climate control gem now. And if I remember right, yeah, climate control modify, and then you say, what do we want our environment variable to be called? Reviewer. model.
Yeah.
So do you remember what that? That's it, right?
I think so.
Well, the autocomplete is suggesting that there's a reviewers method to be able to get the reviewers. Let's actually check to see whether that's the case. No, there's not. We could add it though.
Yeah.
Okay, so the way we would do this is we would call, it was called reviewable class. So reviewable class.new, and then we can expect reviewable dot reviewers. Well, I don't know that code's definitely not going to work, but we can run it and see that it's read. Okay, so undefined method reviewers for an instance of reviewable class. Now, before I do this, I'm just pausing because it doesn't feel great to add code just to make a test.
Yeah.
To me.
This is what I'm thinking. Like, I mean, in general, we don't tend to test kind of the private methods. And this,
Right.
to me, reviewer pipeline as a private constant is something we wouldn't test. But what does review changes do? Like, does review changes do something that we can test?
Yes. So actually, it's not review changes. We could do what we're doing here, which is we can allow quality reviewer to receive new. We're not testing the system under test here. We're testing the implementation of it, but and then what we would expect is quality reviewer to have received new with Claude Opus, with model.
So what's the execution part of this test? Is it reviewable class.new?
Yeah.
So when you instantiate the class, it then will run the constants and then call those. Right.
Actually, that doesn't happen on new. That happens on
at load.
Yeah, let's see what happens. That might be a problem. Oh, I can't run my, because it's all set up to go from the root and the Rails app. Okay, so it expected it one time with that, and it received it 0 times. So we are doing it with nil here. So that wouldn't be the failure that I would expect.
Yeah.
But that leads me to believe that it is happening when the class is loaded, and so before the expectation is set up.
But when would the class would be loaded before the test executes? Like it will load the app in memory. But can I just look at review changes, finds an app, gets whatever the diff is, returns if it's blank, and then it says reviewer pipeline.each. So could
Mhm.
you, what does it do with all of those? It calls review on the reviewer pipeline. Hmm. Could you assert on that loop? So at that point on line 17, the reviewer pipelines are, yeah, you should be able to execute review changes and then have your assertion. No, but you
No,
can't
because
because it
it'll
was already
already be
done at load
instantiated.
time. Yeah.
Um, so this is a little trickier than I expected. Um, so the other option would be to go to introduce that reviewers method so that we could check the reviewers that were created. The another option would be to make this not be a private constant, but make it a public constant.
Is there an argument maybe to go like a level up in our testing? So to test it at an integration level.
But we would have the same problem, I think, because right now this is private to the class.
Still private to the class, and it's always
Yeah.
happening at load time. So that's the issue.
Yeah.
But then why do we need to test it? Is
Um,
it not more config?
the reason why I feel like it's worth testing is because it's code that like we're adding here. If it's not there, then it's not gonna work. And we also don't know whether adding nil, passing in nil affects the behavior or not. So I was hoping we would be able
Right.
to provide coverage for that.
Yeah.
I realized I wasn't monitoring the chat. I was hi everybody. We are monitoring the chat, or in theory we are anyway. So if you've got any opinions on this, now that you've seen the code, feel free to chime in. But I agree, this is sort of borderline. We're also not testing this initializer.
Right. What's your gut instinct telling you?
Okay, I have another idea. There is
Okay.
a reviewable spec that checks that the default model is used. And that is in, oh no, that it is possible to do the models. Okay. So if we instead of implementing it here, if we did this, then we could write a spec for reviewer that checks that when that is set, it uses it. Otherwise, it uses Claude Haiku.
And why would we not run into the same problem that class
Well,
that
this
model
one we can
method.
inspect. We already have a spec that provides an example of that the underlying Ruby LLM chat receives the
I
model.
see. Okay. So you test it through the chat method.
Mhm. Okay. So if we run so I ran that because I still had this code in place. I'm going to remove this code, but it shows that that still passes. Okay, so let's do that so we can sort of. So we go over to the reviewer. So it defaults to Claude Haiku 4.5. It can override the model with an environment variable. So if reviewer model is set, then we instead
Yeah, you change the clause. Nice.
Okay, so we get that failure because it's still model haiku, which is the failure we expect.
Nice.
I'm gonna close this. That is not the failure that we expect.
We expected it to pass.
Mm-hmm.
The environment variables named the same in climate control. Yeah, looks like it. Is that how you set climate control? I can't remember if it's that. I guess we would get an error if it wasn't that syntax.
No, I mean it's just a hash, so it's possible we're doing it
Yeah.
wrong.
I'm not sure if it's string.
Climate control, modify, and then the hash to modify.
Yeah, that is right. Does the environment variable need to exist to be modified? So it doesn't exist in the environment first file like a .env.
No, I don't think it does, because climate
Okay.
control is going to set it if.
Right. Okay.
So
We have an interesting
I
comment on the chat. Go on.
yeah, yeah. I was going to say I'm worried that we're running into the same problem, which is this is actually evaluating at load time,
Yeah,
and
before
therefore it's
climate
before
control.
climate control.
Yeah. I've had this actually before with climate control.
we're gonna we're gonna end up not testing this.
But I don't know if that's so. Yeah, I don't know if that's so terrible to not like to. It's just like this kind of configuration.
Okay, let's okay, so we don't have this set right now.
Okay.
Let's run the application and see how it behaves with nothing set.
Okay.
So we'll go back over to ReadySetGo. We can create a new app. Do you have something clever you want to create?
Fish dating app, please, if it's possible.
Okay, a dating app for fish.
Yeah, so we're getting some interesting comments.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a CLI app, but now it's a web app.
So it looks like we have a syntax error in our reviewable class.
Yeah. Which is probably the code we've added.
I'm missing a parentheses here. Okay, let's create an incredible new product, a dating application for fish to find each other.
Do you know what the tagline is for the app? You don't. It's going to be, there's plenty more fish in the sea.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, I've got big plans.
So I'm looking at so I'm looking at the logs here, and stuff is happening, but we're not seeing it show up. Oh no, there it is. Oh, but we'll only see it when we refresh for some reason.
Okay, that could be a separate issue. Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I think that could be a separate issue with Hotwire. Well, I'm not sure what you're using to like broadcasting.
It is Hotwire. It should be working. So I don't know whether it's just a temporary thing or whether
we've done that.
Messed something
and
up.
how are you trying to ascertain whether the reviewers have actually run? Just by looking here at the
yeah,
logs.
I'm looking at what is being done, and what you'll see, we're not getting a lot of what you'll see in the log is the reviewer rejecting some stuff.
Mm-hmm. Could you ask it to do something that you know a reviewer would flag? So like maybe can you ask it to make a commit? Because you said there's a reviewer runs before every commit. I don't know
Mhm.
if you can ask it that.
Yeah. So if it's working now, it's not gonna come back and one of the things where I'm finding that we're striking with this is like Ready Set Go, the end user will not be concerned with details like this.
Mhm.
But we, while we're developing it, are. And so straight like it's great that it's not obvious whether the work is being reviewed because to the user it should be transparent. But our reviewers are currently not logging anything.
Right, which is because what they log would go into messages, like the messages table.
Right.
So we should see that.
No, sorry, I misspoke. The reviewers things are not logged. When the agent gets rejected, then the main agent says, "Oh, I was rejected," and that's logged.
Ah, okay, so that's how you see it.
Yeah. Oh, I have an idea about how we can test this or how we can know what the behavior is. If we go into Rails console and we do TDD reviewer, and we do model nil. Yeah. So when we pass in model nil, when we pass in model nil, it's using the default model
From the config of the
from the
RubyLLM.
config.
So, but that we could handle with, yeah, a
Yeah, with
fetch and
fetch and a
a default.
fallback.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that that's fine. Um, Actually, it doesn't feel fine to me because then you lose the ability to not specify it. Why? This is
Why'd
taking
you
longer
lose
than I
that
thought it was
ability?
going to take. Because it will like either that or you need to specify it in two places in our code. Here, the default fallback model,
Oh, because it's defined in the
and then here.
yeah. Well, this kind of becomes irrelevant, I think. Oh no, because it depends where else it's instantiated. Yeah. So the TDD reviewer and the other reviewers, they inherit from
Mhm.
this reviewer, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, could you put? Yeah, no, that does make a difference. So
So the other option is that we do the environment variable override here and we don't test it.
Yeah.
Given that we've spent this much time on that, that's what I think we should do. That doesn't mean that that's what we won't, like, you know.
Yeah,
We'll put it up for pull request review, and
okay.
we'll get it reviewed by the rest of the team, and maybe someone will have a better idea, or we'll
Yeah.
collectively decide that that's fine. Here we put this back. Then we have this spec that
Yeah, I don't think that spec works.
No, the spec should still work, 56, because if it's passed in, it's gonna be used.
Oh, I see.
Especially
This
when we
is
don't have
actually past it. Yeah.
Okay, well while that runs, we'll go over to here and just deleting.
You said we don't need the show
Actually,
tokens either anymore?
no, we're not going to bring that over.
But as in, should we delete it, remove it, so people know, don't even look into it?
I didn't want to delete. I think it'll get more confusing if we delete that because it's not part of this pull request. But what we are
Oh, I see.
changing,
Yeah.
what
Okay.
we are pulling in is the model override. So
Yeah.
oh, we didn't end up using climate control.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, let's remove that.
So we'll delete that and then rebundle.
And is it worth testing it just in the Rails console?
So there, I just did it, and the model coming back is Claude Opus 4.6, which was what I said in the environment variable.
Okay, cool.
Oops. Okay, let's commit that. Ability to override reviewer model from env. This brings in the functionality of being able to have our reviewers use a model that isn't the default model for reviewers. I'm going to open a pull request for that.
Mm-hmm.
And then let's create a new branch off of this one for the next thing that we're going to do. But I don't know what the next thing is. So okay, there's nothing in here that we need to bring in. So
what was below in the loop?
Handling rate limiting errors.
Okay.
But that's not something we really need to bring in. If it comes up again, we can implement it in a new way.
Okay.
Because the reason why is this in the Rails app is not, this loop is now happening with background jobs. So if there was an exception, it would be paused and tried again, and then backed off slowly, just like active job does. So you sort of get that for free in some ways.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's everything from the command line, the command line program. If we look in lib, we have our ReadySetGo class. We already have alternative logging functionality in the Rails app, so we don't need to bring that in. We already have projects path. And here is the chat. And okay. Okay, let's look in bin. So we have a bin teardown, which is used for deleting applications. It goes into the applications directory. It runs Rails DB drop all so that you aren't left with that database hanging around, and then it deletes the application. So this is something that I know needs to be brought in. But actually, we don't need to build off of our previous pull request. So I'm going to go back to main and create delete applications with teardown.
So just so I understand as well, when that fish dating app was created, where does it live? Is it inside that Rails folder?
No, actually, it's in your home directory in a .ReadySetGo directory. So a dating app for fish.
So this Rails app has access to the local machine file system.
Yeah, but we restrict it to only be working in a .ReadySetGo directory, and we have projections that if it tries to go out of that directory, it'll cause exceptions.
Okay, so that's one of the tools that the LLM has to be able to create a directory on the machine.
Yeah.
The new Rails app. Okay. And that also one of the things it does when it creates the Rails app is creates a Postgres database.
Yeah, it uses suspenders to generate the application.
And then so Postgres has to be installed. And Postgres has to be installed on the machine.
Yeah, currently right now you need to have a Ruby environment with Postgres set up.
With Postgres. Okay.
What we envision in the future is that you won't need that. That will have a containerized Rails development environment
Yeah.
along with this. Or it'll be just on the web for you to use.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna, so what we're gonna do here is we have an app model. And right now we have no ability within ReadySetGo to delete an application. So I think it makes
Right.
sense to add the ability to delete an application, and that when you delete an application, it tears down the database for that application and removes its files from disk.
Yes.
So
System spec, delete button.
yeah, so we'll use a request spec for that. We're trying to avoid too many system specs right now. So we'll start with a request spec.
Okay, that's cool. Let's do that. I've actually, yeah, I've always thought of like request specs more for API requests. What's your rule of thumb for when to reach for system and when to go for request then?
Well, to be honest, I would generally start with a system spec, but for Ready Set Go, we are making an attempt to avoid system specs. And the way that we are enforcing that is by default in Ready Set Go, system specs all run in the full headless browser with JavaScript. So we're only using that system level specs when we really want a full browser with JavaScript to be in our tests, with the goal of keeping the test suite fast. So I will say that this is one of those things that I encourage teams to do, is, don't change everything about your practice, or but be intentional about like, what's our practices for this application, and what do we want to try that might be new, or what do we want to set out to do in our goals, and then try to do it even if it's not what you would normally do, and minimize the number of things that you're experimenting with. But for Ready Set Go, this is one of them, which is we're going to try to keep the test suite very fast. We're going to avoid system specs for anything that we don't need JavaScript for, and we're going to focus on writing request specs instead.
Yep, makes sense actually.
Okay, so we already have a request spec for the apps controller, and so renders a form for a team member, renders the form, a post get.
So on these, how do you check it renders a form? You just check the raw HTML response.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Okay, cool. So we can add a delete. There's no delete here. I'm just going to accept this spec so that we can see it. Okay, so it tears down the generated Rails application and deletes the app.
Do you mean when you say tear down? What as in, do you want to test the database as well?
So we're going to test that it calls the right commands to delete the database. This application actually doesn't exist on disk. So we're going to set up a fake file system with a directory for that application if we wanted. But we actually, because everything underlines Terrapin, we can just test that the right commands are called.
Yeah.
So that is what I think our approach should be here. The question is, in my mind, well, let's not get there. Let's just write the spec. So the way it auto completed is we expect delete project app path as user. We created the user who has access to that application. We expect it to change the apps count by -1 and then redirect to the project path. How do you feel about that spec?
I think that's a good starting point. Yeah, I don't normally like the assertion kind of in the execution inside the assertion.
Yeah. So what I would normally do is I would write it like we do this, and then I would
Yeah,
avoid the to change, and I would instead
yeah.
say expect app.reload. Oops. I would write
Yeah,
it like
that's
that.
nice.
How do you feel about that?
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah.
Okay, no route matches delete. So we can go over to our routes file.
Well, out of interest, why you just put that in? What's a project?
A project can have many apps. So the idea being like if you're working on a project and you want to like prototype a few different, like generate a few different
Got it.
applications in that
Mhm.
project of different approaches or different things, you can do that without it's all grouped within a project. And so root only must include, oh, I typed delete, but it's destroy. That always trips me up because the verb is delete and the action is destroy. The action destroy could not be found for the apps controller. So let's go over to the apps controller. So the show app. So we're so the reason why we're going through project to get the application is because set project is setting the project, which takes into the account the permissions of the user. So that's where the permission checking is happening.
Okay.
So we want to do the same thing here.
Is there no bang method?
I don't know. Yeah, there is.
Okay.
Oh,
We
no,
don't have
that's
to use it. I was just interested.
what freezes the instance. And freezes the instance. Cool.
Okay.
Do you want to use it? We can use it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so that passes for the spec that we had written, which is great. We didn't have anything about actually tearing down the application in that spec. So let me show you an example of a spec that has commands in it. So actually, let's think about this. Are we going to implement the teardown of the application as a callback on app?
We could start by TDDing it here
Yeah.
and maybe put it all in the method
Okay.
and then decide what we want to extract. Like once we can see it, and we can decide, okay, let's move this, because I don't know what that's going to look like.
So here's an example of a spec that uses fake FS. And what it does, it is a test for the within method. The within method executes commands within the application's directory. And it creates the application's directory if it doesn't exist and changes into the current directory and yields it. So this one actually sets up a fake file system and then does that. Let's find an example of the run specs tool runs commands. And so we have this thing where we can say, did Terrapin, which makes it so that the commands run are properly escaped and that kind of thing. Did it run a command? So in this case, this is what I think our specs are going to be like, where we want to make sure that it ran bin rails db drop all within the directory of the application.
But it's got to be inside the It's how does it know it's in the correct directory?
Yeah, this spec
it's
actually
navigate.
This spec, I would have expected it to have that, and I'm surprised that it doesn't.
I mean, you got to look at who wrote it.
Yeah, it was Lewis. Here's
no,
one.
Sorry, I was calling that out because I'm sure I saw your name next to it.
Yeah, really?
I think so. If you click, there you go. Who's Chad? It says Chad Pytel 1 week ago.
Yep. Awesome. Here's a spec that, in addition to asserting that the server was started, which we can't use Terrapin for reasons, it also expects that the directory was changed to the app path.
Mm-hmm.
So we can write a spec that's a combination of these different things. We do need the fake file system set up because whenever within is called, it creates the directory if it doesn't exist. So we want to have the fake file system harness there.
And the fake file system will create a directory. When you run the test, it creates the directory like .ReadySetGo.
Well, it doesn't really. It's operating on a fake file system. So I actually don't know how a fake file system works under the hood, whether it creates temp files or whether it's doing everything in memory. I think it might be doing everything in memory.
Okay, fine. That's cool. I've never seen that before. That's useful. Let's have a look at that.
So we want to have the there. And so everywhere in our specs, the run. That's not what I wanted. Okay. Was it have ran? Have run? No, I don't know.
Has run? Don't know.
Well, there's this way to do it. So we expect it to run. So now if we run this, so no such file or directory layout dot. That's interesting. Layout.html.erb. And the reason why this is happening is because we're using a completely fresh fake file system. And so Rails goes to run and render, and it's like, I don't have any files, dude.
It doesn't exist.
Yeah. There's a way around this. I have to, I don't know off the top of my head. Rails, okay. That's interesting. Okay. So I'm a little worried about cloning an entire
the whole application.
The whole application. But let's think. Yeah, that's going to be a problem. Now this is only because we are running this. It is essentially at the integration level, and it's doing the actual request.
Mm-hmm.
So if we were to move this into a destroy callback or a different class,
it'd be easier to test
then
because you could just test. Yeah. Because you could just assert on a stub.
We could basically do this because it's not going to be then trying to do an entire Rails post request. So let's come back to the question. Do you want to introduce an object that's responsible for tearing down a Rails app and deleting the app? Or do you want to do it as a callback?
I don't have a strong opinion. I've been warned away from callbacks in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Might even be in the Thoughtbot guides. Who knows? But I don't know. I'm not so clear on the why behind that.
Yeah. My concern is that calling Rails DB drop all is going to be a little slow. Deleting the whole Rails application, which we're also going to do here, is going to be slow. And so
maybe a background job.
I actually think a background job that does those things that is called from a callback might be the way to go here, or just called from the controller is the way to go here. How do you feel about that?
And but will a background job have access to the same file system?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I like the idea of a job.
Okay, I call the app teardown job.
Nice. The one other caveat which has been playing in my head is I don't think we'll be able to drop the databases until we stop the server.
we should make sure that the server is stopped. Yeah, that's a good point. Because if it happened to be running, that would be a problem. It deletes the database. So it stops the server, deletes the database, and removes the app directory.
Nice.
This one spec is testing a lot, but because we'll see how it feels. We may want to break it down.
Yeah, we could split it up into different tests.
So it's gonna look like this, and then we do fake fs dot. Okay, uninitialized constant app teardown job.
Nice.
App job. App teardown job. So it's within that application.
It's giving you quite a lot of options.
No, that's not what we're going to do. No, I got distracted by that now. Within that application directory, we want to so for this command, we can run it with just run because it is not. Yeah, this is this is an issue that we're currently navigating. This right here is not unsafe.
Why is that?
Because it doesn't come from a user. It is an app path.
What is, so it's something that we store on the app.
Yeah. But all of our linters see app.path and freak out because it looks like it's a active record attribute.
Yeah.
But we do want to run it through Terrapin as a variable replacement so that it's properly escaped.
Okay.
So we got one failure. And the reason, I'm pretty sure the reason why, actually, let's look for, there's a better way to do this.
Oh, so that's how we can also stop the server. On that, I saw that open command.
So we can do expect Terrapin commands and then.
Okay.
But that's not the right syntax. So this final command here actually doesn't get run within the Rails application.
Oh, that's true. It's outside of it.
And where it actually occurs is in the projects directory. I forget. So here it's available as Rails configuration, ReadySetGo projects path. We'll clean this up, but so someone with a username that I can't pronounce asked, "What are you doing?" Right now, we are creating ReadySetGo, our AI-powered Rails app generator, but more specifically, we're writing a test for the deletion of applications. Okay, so we expected it to be called one time to delete, to change into that directory, and that did not happen, so it failed. Actually don't see why it would have failed, but I had forgotten that I accidentally ran the or wrote the specs before the test that would fully work. So let's just for fun move this within the fake file system. I don't know if that actually matters, but allow so that's interesting. Once I moved it inside of there. Okay, so now that passed, but now it's checking, did it ever go into the projects directory? And it didn't. So actually, I'm gonna comment this out. We're doing a little too much at once, I think. So let's make the DB drop pass.
Get that passing, yeah.
Okay, so that passes. So now the database is being dropped.
Would it be easier to test stopping the server first?
You had to ask that question.
I did.
I actually don't know how we're going to stop the server. We're not currently keeping track of the server once we start it. So that was going to be a whole thing. The way we stop the server now is by stopping ReadySetGo, and it also stops all the started servers. And
you
so it's a whole.
but
We need a
can't you
process
just
manager to do that.
but can't you just because you're inside the file system where you're doing db drop, why can't you just run I don't know what the command is, but the opposite of rail serve to kill the server?
Is there an opposite of rail serve?
Not sure. That's a good point. Well, yeah. Why can't you then kill the process?
Yeah, we can, but we're not currently keeping this job doesn't currently have any way to get that process.
Could you not run a command?
We'll need to introduce a process manager.
Could you not just run a command to look at the processes running on the? It's not a machine, is it though?
Yeah. So let's focus.
Yeah, okay.
Let's stay focused on deleting the application. Because we can always come back to stopping the server, or we'll need to come back to stopping the server. Okay, so I restored the test. I did not restore the implementation. And so this actually goes outside. Now, I forget whether we have like a within projects directory or something like that. We probably don't. Because the only thing we're doing right now is creating and then running commands within directories. The Rails generator. No, the generate new application tool does it. Generate app with suspenders. Okay, it uses within projects. So where does that come from? Oh, I think I know where it comes from, which is going to be a problem. Oh, no, it comes from a project scopable thing. Great.
Nice.
I thought it was going to be within a tool, and I was like, oh, we're not building a tool. So it comes from here. So
nice.
Oh, that's going to be the full path to the application. It doesn't need to be within projects. So I just did that whole thing for nothing. And that also means that our test doesn't need to check whether it's happening from within the projects directory, because that's going to be the full application path. Right? Right.
Yes. But can you delete a directory if you are in that directory?
The within backs out of the directory once at the end of the block. That's why I moved the command outside of that block.
Right.
So, this might be the wrong syntax for Terrapin. New with a colon, run generate new application tool. Generate new application tool spec. Yeah, the Terrapin command should be coming through with this. This is going to be quoted. Oh. Let's try that. What am I missing here? Colon, variable name, run with a hash. Oh, it's the command followed by arguments. So the command followed by arguments. Oh, I'm in the wrong spec. Okay. The command is RM. The arguments are this. There we go.
We did it. Yay.
Okay, well, we still have more cleanup to do, but we're actually over time now. So we can wrap things up here for today. And Sami, thank you so much for joining me.
Pleasure. It's a really interesting project because it's doing a lot of stuff on the file system. So it's definitely got those quirks.
It's got those quirks. Yeah. Yeah. We will keep the cleanup going. And then I think next week, we will be working on the user interface of ReadySetGo and really polishing. We'll have all the pieces in place for next week's stream. And so we'll be able to sort of polish the user experience, is what I believe we'll be spending time on. We'll probably be joined by one of the Thoughtbot designers as well. So you have that to look forward to. We were early this week. We'll probably be back at our usual time of noon Eastern. But who knows? We like to keep you on your toes. So thanks for watching. As always, if you are looking for someone to help create a new application or to improve an existing one, you can always get in touch with us at thoughtbot@thoughtbot.com. Sami, any final words?
No, have yourselves a great weekend.
Okay, great. See you later, everybody.
See ya.